All right, good evening, everyone. It's 5:30. We'll get started with the pre-commission agenda. I don't have a president's report today. Are there any general housekeeping items or discussion of the commission agenda from the commission? All right, seeing none, right over to you, Director Head.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to visit with you again. We just one note on the agenda. Item 2 on the consent agenda, we are going to ask to have deferred until November 5th, just for the record when we get to the regular meeting today. All right, let's talk about the things that we're working on to build together with our partners to keep our community safe and to get more infrastructure built. Today is the end of the Name of Plow contest. So if you wanted to submit something, feel free, but it's the last day. And there's no preferential treatment, just saying. We select based on the, once we have the ideas, we select based on whichever votes get the most there. So, but we look forward to this opportunity each year to get with the community and see what items they're interested in seeing and having that fun activity for them. Just wanted to note, Commissioners, the last State of the City for Mayor Evans is coming up on October 28th. We have reserved a table if anyone is interested in joining us. Just felt like with it being his last and his tenure of service that we wanted to make sure we have a presence there to recognize his service there. We continue having lots of fun tours of our traffic operations center. I think we might have beat the attendance records of some of our local museums at this point in time, but it is a pretty popular place. This last week we had one of our elementary schools as well as Leadership Meridian class come in. We have 2 participants in that Leadership Meridian class, as well as some of our team are graduates of that program. And so it was fun to show them around and let them see a little bit of what we do here at the Highway District. It is National Community Planning Month. As a planner, go planners. You know, I didn't make the picture, but I proud of our planner and our planning team who do look at all that we do with great foresight and bring about good efforts to ensure that we are doing the right thing for the public and we're doing it in the right way. And so just a special thank you to our planners from throughout the district. I wanted to highlight one of our team members for their extra efforts this last week. This is Katie Porter. She's our construction inspection supervisor. This is at the State and Pierce Park project, and we've received this photo from just a citizen who is in and around that area, business there, who took this picture of our team member taking the extra time. We have a good accessible route through the construction site, but Katie took the extra effort and wanted to ensure this citizen who has a visual impairment is able to make it through. We've told Katie thank you and made sure that she knew of our appreciation for representing so well. But what I really appreciated is that member of the public who just said, you know, this is the story people need to understand about ACHD and who ACHD is. So thought that was such a great example. A few things to make you aware of as you are also considered employees of the Highway District. We do have flu shots tomorrow and then next week if you'd like to sign up for that. We also have recently let our team know Percy has brought on a Roth 401k that will be available to all employees, all Percy members, who you can use that as to contribute towards your retirement. So not just the traditional 401k, there'll also be a Roth 401k, and wanted to make sure you were aware of that.
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Yes, what time tomorrow for the flu shots?
Madam President, I'm looking to the experts, but I think we start as early as 7:30 and go until about 9:30. Is that correct?
Where?
Here,
So,
9:30 in the morning. Till 10? Till 9? Okay. 7:30 to 9.
make an appointment, do we? Okay.
We'll get you in. Commissioners, we have wrapped up the public involvement for the initial outreach on the CIP. We'll be presenting this to you in 2 weeks. And the feedback, as well as some of the changes that through this public engagement, we feel like would be appropriate. There's some project things and other things that in conversations we are going to be recommending would modify a little bit the project list. But overall, we feel like it was a successful public outreach. We got a number of comments, both from the development community. We're still waiting on a few letters from, or for some letters from our partner agencies, but Justin has visited now every agency and ensured that they all have good information, have the chance to ask questions, and have been encouraged to send letters so that you have all the information you need to make a decision. I have a video here, a new and exciting piece of technology that was recently installed here in Ada County.
You may have noticed this signal with the bike symbol on it. It's Idaho's first, and it's your What Is It Wednesday. Hi, I'm Cody Holman, and I'm the Accessibility and Mobility Supervisor at the Ada County Highway District. This new bike signal was just installed with the Capital City Development Corporation, also known as CCDC's, Rebuild 8th Street project using materials provided by ACHD. Let's see how it works. This particular bike signal is for cyclists going southbound on 8th Street towards downtown and allows them to cross State Street more safely. When a cyclist presses this push button, it calls a traffic signal phase, which will stop conflicting vehicles. So the cyclist will see a green bike symbol, a yellow bike symbol, and a red one, just like a normal traffic signal. And while it's green or yellow, vehicles going north who want to turn left onto State Street will have a red light. So if the bike signal is green or yellow, cyclists will still need to watch out for and yield to pedestrians, as they can still cross State Street when the bike signal is green. Having this bike signal here is extra important because it's for cyclists using what we call a contraflow bike lane. This means that the bike lane traffic is opposite that of the vehicle traffic, since 8th Street on this section is northbound only, and this is the southbound contraflow bicycle lane. The reason it's extra important here is that drivers going northbound may not expect cyclists to be coming towards them and then also crossing the intersection. It's important to note that while the bike signal is green or yellow, through traffic going north on 8th Street will also have a green light. This means that this bike signal is not intended for cyclists who want to turn left from southbound 8th to eastbound State Street, as noted by the sign behind me with the through and right turn arrows. Left-turning cyclists are encouraged to use the bicycle signal to cross State Street and then position themselves to use the traffic signal or pedestrian crossing to cross 8th Street, but to make sure that they position themselves to be out of the way of the contraflow bike lane. We're very excited about our new bike signal, and a huge thank you to CCDC for installing it. So the next time you're on a ride from the North End area into downtown Boise, give it a try. And that was your What Is It Wednesday.
Thank you to the team for their good efforts always to ensure that we have good education on the technology that we deploy. And it is the first, to our knowledge, of those in the state probably, but is a appropriate and good application there to make sure that people have good information to know when it's appropriate and good for them to cross there. We wanted to share with you, we've now wrapped up our Glow Up campaign. We shared with you some of the videos. These are the videos that we worked with one of the local high schools to create some videos that were shown before movies. We had 224,000 impressions, people who attended the movies over a number of months, who had the chance to see the video and receive that kind of education on what's the best way to be safe at night as they travel around the community. And just really grateful for the team. This was paid for by a grant, and we're grateful for the opportunity to continue to get good education out there to the public. Today, we had the opportunity, as part of our prep for winter ops and in coordination with ITD, they let us bring in their snowplow simulator. So this allowed the team some who haven't had the chance to drive a snowplow before. Even a few extras have the chance to try this out. The nice thing is no one was injured in the process and no mailboxes were taken out physically. There might be some that have been taken out otherwise, but a good opportunity to let the team try out and be prepared for our winter season and make sure that we are safe when we are out there. Our Traffic Operations Center was selected as the third place public top project by the Idaho Business Review. McIlvain submitted our project and invited us to be there with them as they received the award, but thought it was such a great recognition for the good work that was there and that key investment that the commission made for the public. Exciting times with our Meeker headquarters facility. We are in the middle of final inspections and expect to have approval to start moving in next week. And so the building is wrapping up. There still will be some construction activities that continue on, but we will be able to occupy our new spaces. There's a lot of excitement about this. We will be moving over the next over November and into the first week of December. Our facilities teams are going to be doing those moves. There's some shuffling of desks and other things that are happening there, but we're really excited to have that project coming along. It looks really, really good. And as soon as we get there, we'd love to have the commission come in and take a look at the updated location. I just wanted to also give you a quick peek at our Apple maintenance facility. This was last month, and we know more's even happened since then, but they got all of the hardscape places paved, at least with the initial lift this last month, so that we have good surfaces to drive on as the winter months come in, that they can continue to work through that time frame. We have our the cover for the fuel island in place there on the left. They were building the footings and the foundation for the administration building. We're continuing to work on the final permits for some of the buildings still, but we are making good progress out there. To let you know, there was one item. We initially anticipated that the construction for this would be completed in March of 2027. We have been dealing with some challenges in the permitting process with regards to the pre-engineered metal buildings. There were some challenges there, and McIlvain is working on that, but that will cause a little bit of delay in our process. So we are now anticipating June of 2027 because of that delay in getting the right materials in place. Just a reminder of the schedule for the next couple months in terms of commission meetings. We'll only have those first 2 weeks of each of those months for commission meetings with the holidays and a good time to let everyone be with their families and wrap up those fun times and relax there. Just a quick summary of the things that are coming up. Lots of fun times to be out with the community, with the trunk or treats over the next week, with as we noted for you all, the city of Boise, their staff as well as the mayor will be touring, and there is a fly flying around my head. We'll be touring the TOC on the 6th of November, as well as that night we'll have our construction open house for the Linder Road project from Floating Feather to 44. Correct remove work around the words that are there, as well as we have the Veterans Day Parade that we'll be participating in on November 8th. With that, Commission, I'll stand for any questions, and I might take out a fly in the process.
Thanks, Director. Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And with that, we'll be at until 6 o'clock. All right, good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us in person and online, and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item is to adopt the agenda. There a
So
motion?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted. We do have a request to defer item number 2 until November 5th from staff. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney.
I move that we defer item number 2 on the consent agenda to November 5th and approve the remainder of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that moves us to the regular agenda. First up, we have South Vista Avenue Vacation Public Hearing and Adoption of Resolution number 2450. So this is a public hearing. I will go ahead and open that and welcome Carrie.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, Carrie Niesel, the Real Estate Management Specialist for ACHD. This is a public hearing and decision briefing presentation on a proposed right-of-way vacation of South Vista Avenue in Boise. Okay, so the proposal is to vacate approximately 6,000 square feet of unopened public right-of-way to Veolia Water, Idaho. This is to enable them to drill a new well that's adjacent to their existing one with the sufficient setbacks per regulations. So the vacation area is on the Boise Bench. It is in the Vista neighborhood, just north of I-84. Here you can see the vacation area just east of Vista Avenue. It's directly north of the New York Canal. Veolia's existing well site just sits under the building structure that's shown there in the green dot. And Veolia, excuse me, their proposed new well site area is shown here as well, and it's there in the right of way. Here is an aerial view just above the canal. The orange here represents that vacation proposal, which is a portion of the right of way that ACHD received by deed back in 1972. The proposal has support from the other adjacent landowner, as seen there in yellow. And the pink area shown here is the additional existing network of public right-of-way at which ACHD will still have access. That way we'll still have access to Vista on that slope area if the maintenance is needed in the future. Okay, so the total vacation segment is about 6,002 square feet with a value of $17 a square foot for a total appraised value of $100,000. The application fee of $2,500 has been paid. The applicant has completed all the commission requirements, staff requirements for vacating the right-of-way segment. However, it is the commission that determines if it's in the public's interest to vacate or not. So here's the alternatives the commission can take at this time. Can adopt and sign resolution number 2450 authorizing the proposed vacation. So you can deny the vacation request and not accept resolution 2450. And with that, I'll just stand for any questions.
Thanks, Carrie. Do we have any questions for Carrie?
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney?
I'm sorry, I just have one question. This kind of goes a little bit off the heart of the matter for us as far as we're concerned, but I'm just curious, the party seeking the vacation, is this going to be a municipal water well, or is this, it looks like it's a private corporation, but instead this is.
It's Veolia, sorry, President and Commissioner McKinney, it is Veolia.
Right, and what are they? Do they build wells for the city of Boise, or what's, I have to admit, I'm just trying to put this in my mind
Yeah.
as to where this fits in.
Refer that to the applicant who's here.
Okay,
And they can
that'd be
explain
helpful.
a little bit
It's-
more about.
Yeah, just to understand, what kind of a well we're dealing with. I know it's not super crucial, but
Sure.
Okay, any other questions for Carrie? All right, thanks, Carrie. If the applicant would like to come up, then we can get that question answered.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Kathy Cooper. I'm the Director of Engineering for Veolia Water, Idaho. Veolia is the public water system provider for the city of Boise, parts of Eagle, Meridian, and Ada County. So yes, it'll be a public water system well that'll provide drinking and other municipal type uses.
okay. And I'm just curious, two wells that close together, or is the other well going to be abandoned?
The existing well will be abandoned and then
Okay.
the new one will be.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Do we have anybody signed up to speak on this item?
Other than Kathy, we are good.
Okay, all right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. And this is then before the commission.
Madam President,
Commissioner Pickering.
I move to approve the South Vista Avenue vacation, resolution number 2450.
Second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that moves us to item number 2 on the regular agenda, which is resolution 2452, the 2026 to 2035 year plan adoption. This is also a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing and welcome Christy.
Good evening, Madam President and Commissioners. For the record, Christy Enselman, I'm the Planning Supervisor here at Ada County Highway District, presenting on the adoption of the 2026-2030 5-year plan. Just as a reminder, our lovely snapshot that we love to show you guys for the year-long process that it takes to adopt our 5-year plan each year. And we are now at the finish line for adoption, October 22nd. And just as a reminder, this is a process we go out multiple times to our partners and the public. And I just wanted to highlight that engagement that we do each year, our little roadmap. So we went out to the public 3 times to the public, and each time we received a really great amount of feedback. We went out to our partners as well 3 times. We met with them back in December. We requested priority lists from them, and then we asked them for feedback on the initial draft. So total comments this year, and that number is, there have been a few that have come through since I updated that number this morning. So we're just shy of about 1,800 comments on the 5-year plan, which we love to see. So short and sweet for our commissioners, the recommendation is approval of Resolution 2452, the adoption of the 2630 5-year plan as presented. And then I will stand for any questions.
Christy, are there any questions for Christy? All right. Thanks. We will just move to public comment then.
First, we have Clancy Anderson.
Welcome, Clancy. And if you can just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes for your comments.
Clancy Anderson, 4611 North Shirley Avenue, Boise, Idaho, 83703. I'm here representing the Collister Neighborhood Association. President Gold and commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here on behalf of the Collister Neighborhood Association. I want to express our sincere appreciation for ACHD's continued support of walking and biking projects that improve safety and connectivity in our community. First, we'd like to thank you for including the Collister Drive in the 5-year plan. This is a vital corridor for people walking, biking, and accessing schools, parks, transit, and neighborhood destinations. We also want to acknowledge the public comments submitted in support of keeping this project in the plan. The strong community response reflects how important safe, connected transportation options are to Collister residents. We appreciate the commission and the staff for listening to that feedback and recognizing the community's priorities. We also want to express our thanks for other safety-focused projects to be built within the Collister Neighborhood Association boundaries, including Hill Road and Pierce Park intersection, which is actually a bridge also, and then the new pedestrian crossing at Hill and Castle Drive. Individually, each of these projects addresses safety concerns, but together they form a growing network, a connected system that makes it more comfortable for residents of all ages and abilities to walk and bike in our neighborhood. These improvements help keep kids walking to school, seniors crossing busy roads, and families who want safe, active ways to get around close to home. We recognize that both the commission and staff had to balance many competing priorities and challenges. On behalf of the CNA, we would like to thank you for your leadership, your professionalism, and your continued commitment to the projects that make our streets safer and accessible for everybody. Thank you.
Clancy.
I'm sorry, I should have asked Gary VC to come up. He is representing the Barber Valley Neighborhood Association, so you're granted a...
Welcome, Gary. Yeah, just state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. Gary VZ, 4150 Macbeth Avenue in Boise, 83716. I'm a member of the Barber Valley Neighborhood Association Board and currently serve as president. Thank you for allowing me and the public to weigh in on the 5-year plan tonight. My primary focus tonight is on the Warm Springs and Millbrook roundabout. We appreciate that the project has made it to the list, but have concerns about the protracted timeline. I'm here tonight on behalf of our board and the neighbors we represent to urge your reconsideration of the timeline. Cutting to the chase, please commence design in 2026 with construction complete as soon as possible, but no later than 2028. Fortunately, we understand that a significant amount of right-of-way already exists for a roundabout at this intersection, So hopefully this decreases the time and effort to execute the project. Now, before you start thinking that we are just another difficult neighborhood association making unrealistic demands blindly, we recognize the task before you tonight is a challenging exercise. With dwindling budgets and other government appropriations and increasing costs that need to be spread over thousands of projects. We are not saying that the Millbrook Roundabout is more important than any of the other projects, but we do want it known that we think expediting it is a necessary and valid consideration for reprioritization tonight. I hope you have had a chance to review the over 60 emails, from residents of the Barber Valley that provided passionate, non-templated written testimony addressing the safety issues they experience daily at this intersection. These are all in the record with only one contrary position, I believe, and they urge you to place a higher priority on this project because it is such an important one for safety and connectivity. It is also extremely critical for traffic calming on Warm Springs, which is not seeing any slowdown despite the reduction in the speed limit to 35 miles an hour. To illustrate the magnitude of neighbor concern, BV&A just learned this week that one of our neighbors took it upon themselves to install crossing flags at the RRFB located at the intersection. We understand these flags were not sanctioned by ACHD, and BV&A will work to address this. But the rogue nature of neighbors applying self-help measures to protect themselves and their families is one example of the high level of safety concern. We don't condone, but we understand their motivation. Without elaborating on data, physical issues with the intersection, or the past fatality here, I implore you to reprioritize the project to commence design in 2026 and to complete construction as soon as possible, but no later than 2028. In closing, I would be remiss not mentioning that BV&A would be thrilled to have the recommendations of ACHD's 2023 Barber Valley Neighborhood Transportation Plan come to fruition via a corridor study for the full length of Warm Springs through the Barber Valley, which would identify corridor improvements to increase safety and calm traffic. While we would like to have that corridor study addressed sooner than later, we are confident that it would come to the same conclusion that many of our residents and ACHD already have, that this intersection does not function for all users. It poses a hazard to users today, and that ACHD should take action as soon as possible to complete the necessary improvements to fix it. Thank you again for your consideration of our request.
Thank you, Gary.
Next on the list, we have Steve Clock. Is that for the 5-year plan?
Welcome, Steve. Just name and address and you'll have 3 minutes.
You need my address?
Yeah, name and
Yeah.
address for the record.
Yeah,
please.
name is Steve Clock. Address is 1676 East Lock Meadow Court. In the Lock Meadow neighborhood, I'm addressing the road expansion on Locust Grove between Fairview and Ustick.
Steve, I'm sorry. Are you testifying in regards to the 5-year plan, or is this something else?
It's a component of the 5-year plan.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
making sure.
It is a
Sorry.
component, yes. Yes. So, I currently live in the Lock Meadow neighborhood, which is across from the Hunters Point neighborhood on Locust Grove. It's currently a 2-lane road with a center turn lane. It's a purely residential neighborhood along a stretch of Locust Grove that was developed over 30 years ago, when Locust Grove was not even a through street. Locust Grove was a neighborhood access road with streets reaching almost every block. There are no businesses, no public parks, no schools or churches that require access from the outside of the neighborhood. And with the land fully utilized there will be no new development, no new homes, no new churches, no new schools. For 30 years, the road, even before it was cut through, has been capable of handling the traffic the neighborhood produced. The only reason we've seen a surge in traffic growth is due to people outside the neighborhood using it to try and shorten their commute. There are no benefits to the residents in the neighborhood in widening Locust Grove, only harm. Residents adjacent to the road will lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in property value with the increased noise and traffic, and more people outside the neighborhood with zero vested interest commute through it. Imagine Chinden rolling through a residential neighborhood like we did out here. Families with children will lose thousands of square feet of their backyards due to extra land needed for the new lanes and relocated sidewalks. The road will become more dangerous, not safe, as was declared in the communications that were sent out to us, as residents will have to cross 2 busy street lanes of traffic. In fact, I just did this out here on Chinden where I pulled into the center lane and I had to actually wait for 2 lanes of traffic to clear so I could get past it rather than 1 lane. And it's already difficult with the extra traffic in 1 lane. Well, also, the road will enable the idiots we now have in Idaho that weave in and out of traffic. The extra lane will double traffic through the neighborhood, which statistically speaking, will lead to more accidents. The road will become increasingly dangerous to children at play and trying to cross the street to get to their bus stops for a neighborhood that already lost a child when her scooter was hit by a car. More traffic through the community, of course, also leads to more crime. On several occasions, I've already had to go out and discuss what people are doing in our neighborhood that don't belong there, who've just simply come in with vans and parked and up to no good. There is a place for multiple lanes here in the Treasure Valley to facilitate the growing needs of commuters and commerce. I will not deny that. But not every road needs to become Chinden or Eagle. It is not safe, nor is it prudent, to destroy the quality of our inner city residential communities just to save a couple minutes on the commute.
Steve, that's,
Yes.
That's the 3-minute timer. Can
I thought I
just
had
ask you to-
5.
No, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, you just told somebody they had 5. So.
They were representing a neighborhood association, so they had a little extra time.
Oh, okay, so they're more.
Ask you to wrap up your comments. yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just wrap it up. I asked the project to be eliminated from the plan. It makes no sense. It will only lead to more danger. It will only lead to property devaluations. People will lose, families that have children will lose their backyards. And I, could probably have 50 people here if they just didn't, if they felt like they actually had a voice in this.
Thank you.
Next, we have David Guiado.
David, name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Commissioners, President Gold, David Giotto, 2822 Tartan Place. I'm here, I'm not sure why I'm here, to testify for or against what is an incredibly disappointing and disheartening revision of what had been the adopted 5-year work plan. I notice almost nobody that I associate with in the bicycle and pedestrian community is here today. And that's because of the state of despair and disappointment that we're in because of the many, many plans, treatments, facilities, bicycle and pedestrian that we've been working through over the years that have been rescinded from the plan. I'm not here in my capacity as a Safe Routes to School program director or as the bicycle and pedestrian safety advisor to Tree Fort Music Hall. I'm here because my teenage daughter bicycles to Boise High, because my mother in her 70s still rides her bike everywhere around town, because our neighbor's daughter, who is my daughter's best friend, bicycling to Boise High, was hit by a car who ran a stop sign on Highland View. Because I just met with the Rents family, old friends from high school, whose father and husband was killed on State Street, and that was a good reason why we pushed so hard for those concepts, the new design of State Street. And so what am I here to say? I'm saying that we understand that ACHD's in a real bind here, and we're trying to be positive. So my suggestions, the suggestions of everyone I just mentioned, is that ACHD do everything in their power to enhance existing bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure treatments. For instance, a bike lane could become a protected bike lane. Perhaps speed limits could be reduced in certain streets so that sharrows could be installed. And I also would encourage everyone and anyone with connections to the legislature to rewrite the two House bills, the statutes, that were, I think, cruelly imposed upon all highway districts across this state in a reactionary and petty move against what was the decision of the people of this county for a redesign of State Street. We all know the history of what happened. How do we get out of this? I think we're trying to stay positive. We also encourage ACHD to hold on to these plans that we've worked so hard for, and perhaps in a state of suspension, perhaps until smoke is cleared, and continue to listen to neighbors, such as the one who just testified, and look out for the vulnerable users of this county. Thank you.
David.
Next, we have Sharon Ullman.
Welcome, Sharon. Just your name and address for the
Thank you.
record.
Sharon Ullman, 5991 East Black Gold Street, Boise, 83716. Good evening, President Gold and Commissioners. Is it possible for you to put the whole plan, the map that shows what's happening in each of the 5 years up on something I can point at?
We'll ask our tech people.
I'll start talking in the meantime because I know my time is short. Micron will soon add 2,000 jobs, possibly more. It's unclear. They announced with their first new fab that they're adding 2,000 jobs, and then they added another, they're building a second fab the same size, but I can't find anything definitive in their news releases, whether that's an additional 2,000 jobs or not. But with the first 2,000 jobs, that will also add 15,000 more jobs to the community. For those of us most of you are too young to remember, but when I got here back in 1990, people had been complaining that there was no work in this area. Their teenagers had grown up and moved away. There are now jobs. There are going to be many, many more jobs. And yet,
there's probably a mouse that. Yeah, if you.
It'd be easier if you're over there.
Over there, there's a microphone, and then you can use the mouse to point.
Okay. So, Micron, right?
Sharon, if you could just speak in the
Micron,
microphone.
which I'm pointing out, the traffic is going to be absolutely atrocious in that area, but my notes, it's not just about that area. The three people I know who've recently moved to this area, one bought a house in Dry Creek, one bought a house in North Meridian, and one bought a house in Eagle. They all work at Micron. There is no housing out in Southeast Boise. And because there isn't a secondary fire access, more housing is not going to be approved. Rush Valley would add 400 houses 5 minutes from the new Micron campus, but cannot, as I understand it, cannot be built because there isn't a secondary fire access. I hate the concept of eminent domain, but if it's necessary for this board to use eminent domain to take the land, even if right now it's being used for cattle, if it's necessary to put some kind of an underpass in for the cattle to pass a road to have secondary access so that there can be additional housing out there, it makes sense. The traffic from Micron, the 17,000 new jobs in the community are going to burden everybody in this county. When people have to go west and northwest to find housing, or north, but there's, again, no secondary access out from that area. The traffic on Technology in Gowan, Federal Way in Gowan, I-84 in Gowan is going to be a nightmare, at least during shift changes, but much of the time as well. So I would encourage you to help add, we're not even in this case talking about affordable housing, but housing access in general that's much closer to Micron, and consider doing something in that area that again, it would be fairly simple to add a road so that housing can be built to the southeast of Micron and accommodate some of those new people, new jobs. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Is there anybody left in the audience that would like to testify? We only have one person online, Glenn, and he wants to talk about Linder. So I'm not sure if he wants to talk about the project or his house. So I'm not sure if it pertains to the 5-year plan or if he wants to talk about his house on Linder. Maybe he could help. And he's testifying at the right spot. Glenn, you can go ahead and. Okay. That is not Glenn.
Okay. All right.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hi there, Glenn Ingram, 1520 North Linda Road, representing myself and my wife, Kimberly Ray. I just want to say in the 5-year plan, and it's about the 5-year plan. So I want to give accolades to Christy and all the ACHD team. They've been very, very good and forthright with communicating, providing updates and as much data as they can. It's been excellent. So thank you, especially because it's going to drastically affect my wife and I, because we're going to lose our house. But the only reason I'm bringing this up is that a concern, a short-term concern, because as it stands right now, and it's terrible, and I don't know if it's the change in population in Boise, but when we try to get out of our house between 7 and 9 o'clock or 3 and 6 o'clock, we have to wait sometimes 30, 40 minutes because we cannot get out of our house. And unfortunately, nobody lets us in, and we don't want to dart out and cause any kind of traffic jam. But I think it's what you guys are doing are great, because the last visit we had, and we talked, they were talking about the total reduction time of minutes, et cetera. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that road needs to be 4 lanes. And I don't care, we're going to lose our house. It was our forever house that I ended up building for my wife, but it's dangerous. And we can't, it's hard for us to live and get in and out for our lives. So that being said, I congratulate everybody. I hope that we can expedite and get things going so that it goes sooner rather than later, because it is really impacting our life. And I'm sure a lot of the other people that have to back out or try to put their nose out in the traffic in Linder. So again, congratulations on the project, the management. It's been one of the best ones that I'm an aerospace engineer, so I'm used to dealing in projects. So great job, but I just hope we can expedite, as we mentioned earlier, to get things rolling sooner. So that, I give it back to you, and thank you for the time tonight.
Thank you, Glenn.
Madam President,
Commissioner
Sure.
McKee.
Glenn, a question. Glenn, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Which segment of Linder Road do you live along?
We are right across from the church. We are between Pine and Cherry. So we're right past Cherry on the left side. It's the one where you go by and everybody sees all of the Halloween stuff all the time. You can't miss
Okay,
it.
so just a little bit north of Meridian High School.
That is correct, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right. We're about 4 houses before Cherry, right across from the church across from us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll
seeing-
defer. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in person or online who want to testify on the 5-year plan? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. All right, that brings it back to the commission for discussion, unless you had anything else to add. Okay. Okay, Commissioner Nielsen has a question for you, Christy. Sorry.
Yeah, I was listening to Mr. Clock's testimony. So what is the status of the concept study for that area of Locust Grove? I have an earlier draft. It's a 25-26, so I'm not sure where we are today with that.
Yeah, Madam President, Commissioner Nielsen, that section of Locust Grove is Fairview to Eustic. We started the concept and early site evaluations beginning in fiscal year 25. We did an outreach to the public, the initial survey, to get their feedback on their concerns for the corridor. The next will be the alternatives. So it's still in process. So believe we're at the point of the consultants starting work on the different alternatives based on the existing conditions, traffic analysis, and what we heard from the public. And they're likely to evaluate multiple alternatives for that corridor. So the decision is not set on what we're going to do there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christy.
If I
Commissioner.
may, Christy, could I just ask quickly, another similar project, the gentleman who was just talking about that segment of Linder Road near Meridian High School. And I know we've talked about that. We've gone through what the concept study, because that segment is not being rebuilt with the construction of the bridge over the interstate, is it? That's a separate segment, am I correct?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, that's correct. So
I'm
the,
not-
where he's located was the Linder Pine to Eustic concept study that we completed, which the result was a 5-lane segment. And that is one that we have with the adopted budget that the commission adopted recently, was funding to do some early acquisitions of some of the homes that are going to need to be taken with that road widening project. So that's what he would be referencing.
So, but I'm looking at the plan, let's see, Pine to Eustic. Okay, so that one is in the plan. It's in a to be decided date timeframe, so we don't know when it will be built, but it is there. So I see that here. And so we're talking about then having a separate item then for just the right-of-way acquisition to start sooner. When would that start? Because I don't see multiple entries for that.
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, it's in there a little odd because it's multi-year that we have, that we will hope to get funding. Each year we'll come back to you with a budget adoption to look at that. The current budget is for $2 million worth of early acquisition right-of-way. It is before design, but because we're having to purchase so many homes, it will be a lengthier process to get all of those purchased, because I believe we were at around 35 homes that were going to need to be purchased for that, a very large right-of-way dollar amount to that. So we're looking to do early acquisitions as property owners were willing to sell early.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions for Christy? Great.
Madam President,
Commissioner Pickering.
I will move to adopt Resolution 2452, the 2026-2030 5-year plan as presented.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay,
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney.
I think there's been a number of items brought up. And I guess, you know, it makes me think adopting the 5-year plan, it's something we do every year. But some of the issues brought up by residents and also some additional issues that I'm aware of suggest that maybe we ought to reconsider and consider adjusting things a little bit. And let me just ask Christy, I don't want to gum up the works, but if we wanted to take a little more time on this and approve it next month, is that a problem? What kind of problems would that create if we did that?
I knew he was going to come up. That's why I looked.
Madam President, Commission, thank you for your question. Commissioner McKinney, the first 2 years of the 5-year plan, you already adopted through the budget. And so we believe that we see it as a snapshot in time, that there, with the next update to the 5-year plan, with the next update to the budget, as the commission deems appropriate, you can accelerate projects through that process. As we've noted through some of our conversations in the outer years of the plan, we are already looking at probably more projects than we have funding, at least at this point in time, for. And so we just want, in any decision to accelerate projects, we just want you to recognize that there may not be the funding based on our current projections for any shifts to be able to fund those. And so at this point in time, there may be opportunities, and even if the commission would so like to provide direction as we start the next process, which really starts tomorrow, preparing for next year's 5-year plan, that we can take a look at that through the next update. So ideally, Commission, we would ask you to make the snapshot in time tonight and then move forward.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yeah, I will be very squeaky going forward on listening to Barber Valley Neighborhood Association on the Millbrook and Warm Springs roundabout. So I'll just let my fellow commissioners know anytime we have a bid opening that's a lot less, I will continually be adding up those dollars to do what we can. In the meantime, I shared with Mr. VC that I will take the 60+ comments, very heartfelt, very personal stories of people's experience there. I do want to send that to the Boise Police Chief so they read those concerns from our citizens and do all we can to make that a safer place for people who use that intersection every day or multiple times a day. Part of our job, I think, or anyone in public service, is to try to remove those stressor points. You know, you've heard my speech on trying to create the best day possible for people. And this is one stressor point in my district that I'm going to be very, very noisy about. I just want to say, but I appreciate the practicality and the budget, but I will hopefully see this move up in the priorities with Boise City and get this done. I'm only in the first year of my term, and dang it, I'm going to work on that for the next 3 years. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Yeah, I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I've put down some thoughts that I'd like to express. And if I seem like I'm reading some of them, I am, because I'm old. For many years now, and for a wide variety of reasons, ACHD has been compelled by circumstances in or out of their control, or chosen, sometimes out of courtesy to municipal partners or neighborhoods, to delay or put on indefinite hold projects that I feel are important to address decisively before approving this plan. I've approved the last 10 plans, some with minor changes designed to make the roads safer for kids, but approve them nonetheless. I will not be voting to approve this plan, not because of the lack of hard and diligent work on part of our staff, but because I do not feel that our primary constituency, the driving public and others, are being listened to nearly as much as they should be. I'm not just saying this to curry favor with voters or generate voter support, as I'm not going to run again when my term is over next year. I'm saying it because I see that as fact. As a result, our roads have become less safe for our most vulnerable users, and I'm not talking about bike paths here. The longer we allow to remain the uncalmed network of 2-lane goat paths in much of the county, which we call farm to market roads, the parts of the county where most of the growth is occurring, the more dangerous those roads get. I've been driving Cloverdale more often than usual and find that road a drag strip during other than peak hours. There needs to be more crosswalks all over the county and more flashing lights or hawk signals to calm speeds some of the plans that we have for Cloverdale, for instance, have been completed and on the shelf for years. The plans for Maple Grove from Victory to Amity actually have been completed for some time and only await going out to bid. They're shovel ready. Some have actually gone beyond their original completion dates, but it's still close to possibly a decade from completion. I'm all for having shovel-ready jobs that might qualify for federal aid because we can get them quicker. But those are the exception to my personal expectations for local projects that don't qualify for that. I understand perfectly well the sense of urgency that we've had with regarding projects in West Meridian connecting to Highway 16. Once we had the money for those, they had to be completed post haste. I have some projects that I think that either have been, will be, or should be deferred. And most of them are in my district. And some that I would like to emphasize. And just to show you that I'm not specifically going after projects in my district, I think an important stretch that we need to apply a whole lot more priority to is Star Road. As most of you know, that needed to be done yesterday. The suggestion has been made and listened to break that section of road up into segments, making it less expensive per segment and easier to slide into the queue for construction. We've got projects on Maple Grove, the Lake Hazel extension, the Orchard extension, Linder between 26 and 44, Linder between Cherry and Ustick, and again, Star Road. We've got some intersection projects along Clover and Lake Hazel that could be not so much emphasized, but retimed so that we can get other projects going north-south done. The east-west Lake Hazel projects, for instance, really are of secondary importance unless we get the Lake Hazel and Orchard extension done. And I think we ought to consider that strongly. In closing, I'll say one thing, and that's to apologize that this opinion that I've just expressed might seem too harsh. I don't mean for that to be. I just want you to know that that I understand all the work that goes into this, and I appreciate it. But I think that our sense of urgency about some of the things that we've had ready to go and moved around are misplaced. Thank you.
Commissioner Pickering.
Yeah. Thank you, Christy and the team, for your hard work this past year. And I think these economic times are also really tricky, given like influxing, right, with hard economic times, tariffs and costs increasing, plus growth and the demands and requests exponentially also increasing. So I think hearing my fellow commissioners, I think this is a natural, tension, right? Where there's lots of projects where we all have different opinions about it. There's the, partner agencies that have opinions. Ultimately, it's the buck stops with us. But I think that's just a testament to where we are in this moment. But ultimately, I think the reality is we have a finite amount of money. We only have a finite amount of capacity with that money to do projects across the county. And I think, of course, every commissioner wants more projects in their district. And the reality is, right, we've got to be able to pick and choose and make the hard decisions about what is in the plan, what gets pushed out of the plan due to budget constraints or what have you. So I recognize that tension of my fellow commissioners and the staff trying to make the right choice with that. But I think it's more honest. It allows more transparency to what Commissioner Nilsson's explaining, right? If we can't make that adjustment in this iteration, how can we, moving forward in the next year, make those adjustments that are within the control? If we get a windfall, what have you, that we can do to adjust those more pressing needs that didn't fit right within the budget that we understand and are trying to work with. So, I mean, I won't belabor, what things I wish this plan was, because I think there's a few things that have been said already that I agree with. But ultimately, I think this is making the best with what we have. And there's lots of balanced investments across the county. There's a ton of investments towards western Ada County, a ton in South Boise and southern parts of the county, and obviously fitted in with my district and Commissioner Gold's and Commissioner Nelson. So I'm very proud of some of the advanced projects in my district, but obviously I'm also dealing with delays. So I think that's just, again, it's just kind of the nature of the moment that we're in. And there's no guarantee that we're going to get funding from the legislature to help with even the constraints that we already know are popping up, given the expansion of Highway 16. So I think that's a real challenge that we're going to continue to see, especially once all of those vehicle trips pour onto our networks. As we try to keep up, we're not going to be able to keep up based off of the funding models that we have. They were not built to pay for the infrastructure that we have today and the growth that we've experienced. So I want to just applaud our team for their hard work, and everyone that commented, that showed up tonight. I heard you. I understand the tensions, and I just hope that you'll continue to work with us to make this plan and these projects the best that they can be, whether that is in your neighborhood and it's your neighborhood street, or it's adjacent to where your children or yourself work or play or worship. So just want to thank the team for that. And that's why I'm supporting the plan.
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to say, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight to comment during the public hearing, as well as everybody who's taken the time to comment throughout this year-long process, all the opportunities to give feedback and identify potential projects and, talk about areas of improvement. All of that is really important to the process and important for us to know and understand going into the decision-making process. Just want to echo what Commissioner Pickering is saying about the constraints that we're facing in terms of our budget and the number of projects that are needed, and the feedback that we get from the public, the feedback we get from our partners, and trying to do the best to create a balanced approach to getting those projects addressed across the county. I want to thank our staff because it was a tremendous amount of work and a little bit different approach this year, trying to really focus on what we can get done in the next 5 years. And so I really appreciate the effort there. And that it's a work in progress. We will continue to take feedback and continue to understand the needs of the community and take those into, as Commissioner Nielsen was saying, opportunities to get things done sooner and opportunities to include those in the next iteration of the plan. So just want to thank everybody again for their time in weighing in. Your feedback is really important, and I'm obviously be supporting the plan. Commissioner McKinney.
Yeah, if I can offer just one more comment. I won't belabor it, but I appreciate some of the comments that Commissioner Goldthorpe made. And each of us, as was mentioned, there are things we'd like to see in the plan that aren't there, and other things that are there that we aren't necessarily in favor of. One of the things, here's two that I'll mention. And Commissioner Goldthorpe mentioned concerns about Cloverdale Road, and I appreciate those, and I recognize those as well. The State Street project from 8th to 14th is still in the 5-year plan, even though the legislature passed a law in the previous session that went into effect in July, I believe, specifically dealing with that. And so it's something that's in the plan that, according to state law now, we can't really have in the plan. So that shouldn't be there. And likewise, and Commissioner Goldthorpe mentioned the Lake Hazel extension and the Orchard extension. Those are two things that that aren't in the plan that I think should be. They're long-term, they're big dollar items, they're complicated items, and I recognize that. But the comments that were made earlier about the concerns about additional employment at Micron, extending Lake Hazel Road across south of Gowan Field to the Eisenman interchange would very likely support a lot of the traffic headed to Micron directly, especially with their big expansion right now. So that's an example of some things that those and others that ought to be in, and of course, we've got some that probably shouldn't be there. That being said, I think as has been mentioned, I know this is a snapshot and we can certainly start making adjustments to things as we go. And that being the case, in fact, since we've passed a budget, the criticality of the plan itself, well, the plan itself is not critical. It's not going to stop any ongoing projects from going, regardless of what we do here. Nevertheless, because it is a snapshot in time, and we recognize its strengths and weaknesses, I think it makes sense to go ahead and approve this plan, but know that we need to, going forward, continue making adjustments because it's always a work in progress.
Okay. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries. Thanks again, everybody, for being here on that item.
Madam President,
Commissioner Baker.
I do want to correct the record. The fact that our State Street project, as presented in the plan, it's not going forward with the concept that had been approved that is no longer in line with state statute. So that is incorrect. It is going to be modeled after what we can do given the new law. So just want to clarify the record on that.
Yeah, Madam President, for clarification, there's significant maintenance needs needed in that section. And so the proposal would be to move forward with the maintenance needs in accordance with the law.
Yep, thanks for that, Commissioner Pickering. All right, next up is discussion items, public communications. Anybody who would like to address the commission is welcome to do so.
I do not have anybody signed up.
All right, seeing none, meeting is adjourned.